Welcome back to another episode of Sound Pals Stay at Home and Watch Movies. I'm here with my friend Touly. Say hi, Touly.
Hi guys.
And today we're going to be reviewing 1917 on Blu-ray. And just a fair warning, there's going to be spoilers up ahead, so you've been warned. On April 6, 1917, as a regiment assembles to wage war deep in the enemy's territory, two soldiers are assigned to race against time and deliver a message that will stop 1,600 men from walking straight into a deadly trap. Let's start off my review by going down my pros. This movie has a simple story, easy to follow. It's based on a true story. So what else do you need? If you are still not enticed by the movie, this movie has action. Yes, it is slow to build up at first, but once it gets going, it has you and it doesn't let you go. What I mean by this is that at the beginning, it has two characters, and those are the main characters that you follow throughout the whole story. And this is due that the development of the characters at the beginning of the story is easy to follow, and it just gets you to care about one of them just enough to the point where you carry enough, and then once that person is gone, it basically makes you carry enough for the other soldier to deliver the message on the other side of the trenches. I mean, this is basically that kind of story of survival, and you're rooting for this guy to deliver a message of a brother who died trying to get to his brother, and once you get in touch with this feeling of this person who's trying to, get to his brother and then dies, the person who carries the torch, you're rooting for him. It's like inspiring stories that you want this character to survive, and it doesn't matter what he has to go through. And I mean, it's just a simplistic story, and I can't drive this home. It's just a simple story from point A to point B. And even when you see the maps, it's like, here's you, here's your brother, you have to get there. But then when you see the journey they have to go through, it's like, wow, it's not that easy. All this that you focus on these characters and you're invested in them, it would not work if the film had to cut and shift scenes from one character to another group. So how do they fix this? By putting director Sam Mendes, putting him together with Roger Deakins, master of cinematography, and by them making the movie focus on these two people, or by tricking you into thinking that. What I mean about this is that they filmed the movie and edited it in a certain way that makes you feel that it's one continuous shot. I mean, this is amazing when I first saw it, and the reason I went to see it was I saw the director's name, Sam Mendes, and Roger Deakins' name on the film, and I was like, oh, seems kind of interesting, so I went to see it. I did not have any idea what I was in for. And when I got into the movie theater and I started seeing what I was looking at, I got to admit they almost got me in some scenes, with the transitions. I was like, wait, is this one continuous shot? And then I started seeing, I'm like, no, you almost fooled me there. I'm like, I did see the transitions and the cuts and editing, and I was like, but it was really nicely done. It was a breath of fresh air, how the camera would rotate in a 360 manner, and you saw everything behind the characters. They were not hiding any other cameras or lightings and stuff like that. Everything was exposed. It was out in the open, out in the trenches, everything was there. They were not trying to hide anything. Maybe, post-production, they would edit a few lights out here and there, but other than that, everything was as it was. And I mean, I love this movie when I went to see it, that I actually sought out behind the scenes and interviews, especially with Robert Deakins and the director, and they talked about that most of the time they were waiting for the sun to be how they was before in the last scene, because they couldn't play with the lighting because it was natural light they were using. So for them to dedicate all this thing to the art, and what I mean by art is cinematography and the film and everything, all this effort is just amazing. I just can't believe that they did this, and what I gotta say is props to them, and you guys earned your Oscars. So those are my pros. And if I have any cons, I would probably say that maybe it's the character development in the beginning of the story or at the end. I would have probably enjoyed a little more at the beginning or at the end, but I mean, that's just my little nitpicking here and there. I mean, at the beginning, before they started their adventure, talking about their experiences before or their lives before at home, or even after, maybe the surviving soldier asked the brother, can I write the letter? And we see him actually start writing the letter, and then transition there to the mom reading the letter. I mean, that's that's it. I mean, for me, that's the only con of the movie. You know, maybe it could be the length of the movie, but I mean, I did not feel that it was a lengthy movie. I did not feel that there was any slow pace after it started, moving forward. So with that said, I'm going to pass it on to my friend Touly and see how he saw this movie and what grade he gave this movie.
So I was encouraged to watch this film based on how they said this was a one continuous shot film. For me personally, it was the first of its kind that I've seen. Not to say that there weren't any movies before this one that attempted this sort of thing, but for me personally, it was the first one. And for the most part, it's what sold me. It's what's gonna encourage me to praise it for the art and the effort that went into making a film like this, and the camera work that was done to make the audience feel that they were there with our two main characters as well. Yeah, I felt like I was just in the moment with the characters. So, props to them being able to make me feel that way. There are films where you're engrossed in them because the story is well told, the characters, you're just invested in them, and you feel this personal attachment to how great a movie is. And then there's these sort of films where, based on just how the movie is shot, that it makes you feel that you're there with the characters. And, some movies do an okay job with that. Some movies don't. But this one I thought did a great job with that. So just on the premise of the cinematography and how they try to give you the illusion that it is a continuous shot, even though it wasn't, because they had to piece these scenes together. In that retrospect, I have to praise the movie a lot for that. I did feel that the movie was slow to begin with, and they had to build up, I understand, to when Blake died, so that he could carry the torch, so to speak, the rest of the way. At first, I wasn't too invested in Schofield because of his attitude. It didn't feel like he cared, but I liked how they didn't reveal that side of him and let that be part of the storytelling aspect as the movie progressed. I can see that he has changed throughout this journey. And for me, one of the biggest things when it comes to movies or a TV series that I really, really enjoy is when I see a character change. So Schofield's character really grew on me as the movie progressed. There were a couple of things that I feel were kind of out of place because to me it kind of just served either no purpose in the overall telling of the story or even in the moment. For example, when Schofield got the milk from that farm area and me thinking he was just gonna save it up to drink for himself, and then later he encounters this lady who had a infant and it just so happened he had that milk with him. I mean, it's nice that he conveniently had that milk with him to give to the lady so that she could feed her child. I mean, even if he didn't do that, I didn't feel that moment would have been any different for me, other than really to prove to the lady herself that Schofield was a good guy. I mean, what I'm trying to get at is, if he didn't have that milk and couldn't provide that for the lady's kid, would I have felt any different about Schofield? No. So that's where I'm coming from. It was like, it felt conveniently placed. Also, the action scenes. Yes, there are action scenes in this film, but they feel very different because you only see it from one perspective. Normally for me, action scenes feels more like action scenes when you get different cameras shifting back and forth between the good guy and the bad guy to give you this dynamic sense of the encounter or the battles. But because this is one continuous shot that they were trying to elude the audience to sort of feel, it was just this different sense of action. And then the transition that they incorporated into this movie, I mean, it wasn't bad that they did it. I understand it to sort of provide the movie a sense of time as well. But when Schofield fell down that flight of stairs and became unconscious, and then he woke up later during the nighttime, to give you a sense of like there was a passage of time, I felt disconnected when it happened because I wanted to see what happened in between that moment. But we just see Schofield waking up to like the town being set ablaze, and then he had to run through, this enemy line as the sunrise was approaching, which was a very beautiful and tense moment in of itself. But from him lying there unconscious to waking up, again, with the whole idea of the film trying to be this one continuous shot, it did kind of lose me in that moment because I was expecting for the movie to show me what happened to our characters moment by moment. And I'm not saying that the camera should have just been on him as he fell unconscious. I'm not saying that. But maybe they could have handled that in a different manner if they wanted some passage of time. Maybe he didn't have to fall unconscious. And I'm not sure if this is related to like some sort of true event that happened particularly to this person or this character, or whether it was due to some creative freedom that they had. Again, I understand though, because you were able to take out a chunk of time out of the film in order to fit it within your 2 hour or so allotted duration. Otherwise, you would get that 3 to 4 hours of show feel just lying there. So again, I understand why they did it, but at the same time, it kind of disconnected me from the moment as well. In the end, the movie was still very, very good in terms of what it was trying to achieve, and it did achieve that. And I'm going to give the film a 7.5 out of 10.
So I see your points about the movie and the disconnection. Like, you corrected yourself, and you also saw the other side of it, saying that you know that it would lengthen the movie a little bit. I also kind of saw that point, that it lost me right there, that when they advertise about the one continuous shot part of the movie and they come with him losing consciousness and then coming back, I'm like, this is already a not one shot movie anymore, you know. But then that whole scene of him running through the town, like you said, it was really artful, especially with the lighting. I just in awe, and I forgot about that part of when he went unconscious. But yeah, I just saw the whole thing as being artful, and the cinematography was there, and I just really thought it was an artful movie. Other than that, there was flaws here and there, like you mentioned about the milk and stuff. I would just say that it was unrealistic that he would have kept the milk for that long. He would have probably drank the milk right away, because we saw him that he was asking for, food in the beginning, and to come upon milk and just kept it, he would have probably drank that right away. So I guess for me, this movie receives, I'm going to give it a higher grade than you. For me, it's just due to the cinematography, and I'm a big Deakins fan, so I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. It's a really high grade for me, but it's just that if you really enjoy, movies that just play with camera angles and or just play with the cameras and stuff like that, this is a very good movie to watch, especially if you're a film major. Just watch this movie, you're going to see it, you're going to fall in love with it, and transitions, and then you're going to see a bunch of transitions, especially if you're learning about transitions and different angles, trackings and stuff like that. You're going to basically notice this. This was mostly filmed with the 40 millimeter lens. I mean, it's just amazing what they did with this movie, and the whole idea of what planning went into this is just amazing for me. It just blows my mind. I guess that does it for this review of 1917. Please join us next time when we're going to review The Gentleman.
Yeah, but I would argue that you're lucky, because that is nothing compared to what I could and perhaps should be asking.
Oh, well, thank God you're not Greedy Fletcher, you deluded, shit-eating cunt.
I quite like it when you talk dirty to me. I can feel myself engorging. Come on, have a drink with me. It's really yummy.
Please like, comment, and subscribe. You can find our social media links below. And like always, keep watching movies.